It is time to continue on with fun gacha blades of completely random selection, and today Fate has decided to choose Agate. Agate is the first Great Axe type weapon we've actually discussed here, which is one of the most powerful weapon classes in the game. Agate herself is at the very top of C tier and in the upper half of blades, although just barely. She has some good things going for her that can give her some solid damage potential, and she works decently as a supportive option as well. All around, she might be one of the most standard blades we've seen so far, pretty good in her role in most areas, but not really amazing anywhere. But that's okay because she can still be a fine blade, and in this video we will be discussing all of Agate's strengths and weaknesses, and how to use her the most effectively. If you enjoy this type of guide content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, and look forward to all of the future blade guides because it does help me out so much. Let's get into it. So, as stated, Agate is a Great Axe type weapon. Axes usually have low cooldown arts, balanced by longer animations typically, and some high damage on top of that. Axes are pretty poor on Rex, terrible on Nia, and mediocre on Morag. Fortunately though, they are a fantastic weapon class for Zeke since he limits the long animation speed significantly, and as such he will be the driver of choice for Agate. As a Great Axe weapon, Agate comes with one of the highest auto attack stats in the game, reaching 1697 with the Tachyon core chip, which is a huge number. Axes also have a pretty solid critical hit rate tier, maxing out at 40% with the Moon Matter core chip, and have a below average block rate. Agate in particular has 20% in both defense stats, making her actually one of the tankier offensive blades in the game. She'll be quite a bit harder to take down than most we've seen so far. Her stat mod is pretty terrible, only a 10% dexterity mod, which likely isn't going to be doing much for you, and her cooldown is pretty average, maxing out at 4 when maxed out. As always though, the real strength of the blade lies in their skill tree, so let's take a look at what Agate has going for her there. Agate's first skill is Tiger's Eye Wrecker. This will increase her damage to insects by 40% at level 1, rising up to 80% at level 5. This is definitely Agate's worst skill. Insects are a very uncommon enemy type, and no important UMs or super bosses or challenge mode enemies qualify as insects at all, meaning there isn't much use for this skill in general, and many times it's just going to be pretty useless. This could be a good skill against a more common enemy type, but insects are just not the best enemy type to have a specific skill against in this game, and as such, even as a niche skill, it's not very good and it isn't going to be doing much for Agate. Agate's second skill is Tanzanite Pursuer. This will increase damage to toppled enemies by 50% at level 1, rising to 150% at level 5. This is actually a really nice skill for Agate since she comes with a topple art on Zeke and can actually take advantage of this bonus pretty well as long as you have an effective breaker on the team. If you're set up for driver combos, you will find a lot of use from the skill and plenty of ways to use this damage bonus to make Agate hit considerably harder. It's definitely a great skill for her to have, and I'll be able to show it off a bit better later. Agate's final skill is Razor Sharp Lilite. Apologize if I pronounced that wrong. This will increase damage of the entire party by 25% at level 1, rising up to 50% at level 5. This is a very nice skill. It's an effective 150% added damage increase available nearly all the time in a skill, and it can also be additionally useful to help lower additive blades pack a bigger punch. It's good party support in addition to helping Agate hit harder as well, and the value of strong party support abilities cannot be understated. However, there is one tiny problem with this skill, and it has nothing to do with Agate herself. Let's just say there exists a far superior version of this ability, which means Agate doesn't really see all that much use as a supportive blade to increase damage. But we'll get to that when we get to that, and that doesn't mean this skill is bad, it's just outclassed. 150% total damage increase on a skill with this good of a conditional, especially on a non-DLC blade, is pretty fantastic, and is still beneficial for Agate to have. All around with this skill and her Topple Plus skill, she can be a pretty effective damage dealer while helping the party hit harder as well and function as a decent blade. Let's talk about her specials. Agate's level 1 special is Heliodor Passion. This is a 3-hit special of average speed and average damage ratio. The same one that caps at 450 ratio when maxed out and at max affinity, as you might expect. It's single target and has the bonus effect of increasing damage to launched enemies by 150%. Honestly, there really isn't all that much to say about this special. It can be decent if the enemy is launched, but it's pretty standard as a special outside of that, and it isn't going to be doing damage that impressive. It's so unspectacular, I don't really know what else to say about it, so let's move on. Agate's level 2 special is Star Barrel Courage. This is another 3-hit special of above average speed, and it once again has no AoE. This time, however, its bonus effect may be a bit more useful and play to her strengths of doing more damage to toppled enemies, since it also has that as a bonus effect going well with her battle skill. If you can hit this on a toppled enemy, it can do some decent damage and will likely feel like a bit more worth using than her level 1 special. The damage ratio is unfortunately not super amazing though, being 400 at level 1, 560 at level 5, and 580 at max affinity, putting it in the below average ratio category, but at the very least Agate can make up for that if she can nail the bonus effect. 6 hits between her level 1 and 2 can make her okay in chain attacks as well. Agate's level 3 is Rhodochrosite Might. This is her third 3-hit special of average speed, but this time she gets a fantastic bonus effect of increasing critical damage by 85%. This can give this level 3 some very impressive damage if the attacks manage to get critical hits, and makes it a much better option as a special than her level 1 and 2. It comes with a 25% critical hit modifier to make getting those critical hits a bit easier, and it also has a small area of effect to hit multiple enemies. The weakness is that it again has a bit of a low damage ratio, being 500 at level 1, 660 at level 5, and only 680 at max affinity, putting it in the lower half of damage ratios there as well. All around, everything else about the special is pretty good though, and the critical damage multiplying with the additive damage can make this special hit very hard. Agate's level 4 is Invincible Moldavite. It's another really good special. Its bonus effect is increasing damage to toppled enemies by 150%, which stacks well with her battle skill once again, and it's even better this time because level 4s will freeze topple duration, meaning you can get every hit on a topple and do a lot of damage with this special. It's great to topple an enemy and then immediately use the special, and it's something you definitely should consider doing. You can even really take advantage of the fusion by using a chain attack after while the enemy is still toppled, and this is a viable strategy that can do a lot of damage with Agate and make her function pretty well as a solid attacker blade. Its damage ratio is 1000 total, making it pretty average, and it comes with a 20% critical hit mod for some additional help there. All around, it's a great special and definitely worth using in any situation you can topple an enemy easily. For setup, I am using the Tachyon chip on Agate. Tachyon gives a very nice bonus effect to Axis of increasing critical damage by 25%. You will lose 13% critical hit rate from not running a Moon Matter, but the damage increase and ways to increase critical hit rate, among other things, make Tachyon a more worth it option in almost every setup. This bonus effect is incredible for making Axis hit as hard as possible, and I highly recommend it. For Aux Cores, I'm running Affinity Max Attack since Agate loves another damage increase that is unconditional, and Night Vision for accuracy because of the types of enemies I'm fighting. Outdoor Attack Up and Affinity Max Barrier are other pretty solid options either for more damage or some extra survivability that can go well with Agate's good defenses for an offensive blade if she gets aggro. For accessories, Noise Dampener is fantastic on Axis since you will get a lot of DPS from Chaining Art since their cooldowns are so low, and you even get a nice critical recharge art on Zeke. Enlightened Loincloth is another great damage increase, and it also makes Zeke really hot, so that's a no-brainer. And then, of course, Crimson Headband is fantastic to make critical hits do world-ending damage. All three of these combined are independent multipliers from each other and will allow Agate to do some hefty damage to enemies when you multiply them together. For pouch items, Art Recharge is really good for Axis since it allows you to easily change arts infinitely and get specials up faster and do a lot of damage, so highly recommended that you focus on that. With all that done, let's take a look at how to use Agate practically. So basically one of the major things you're going to want to focus on when using Agate is of course toppling. Now my party members are Tora because he's the best breaker in the game, and then I also have Fiora because she's going to be increasing our critical hit rate by a lot, which is going to be very beneficial for plenty of our abilities. So you just saw that Raging Charge right there, which is one of Zeke's arts, which does increase damage to toppled enemies. It did 596,000 damage without any kind of fusion combo or anything. So getting hits like that with it is very beneficial. It unfortunately did not crit that time, that's not a big deal. I'm able to get these nice critical hits with my level 3 on this launch right here, which does damage cap on the stone, which is really nice. And then I have Tora set up, or Cutie Pie set up for Fire Element, so I can do Mega Eruption with Agate pretty efficiently. I also have access to Volcanic Storm with this setup because Fiora is a Wind Element blade, so that gives me 2 viable blade combo paths with this. I try to end up toppling here, but it doesn't end up working because he no affects it, but I'm able to get off a level 4 anyway and do a lot of damage with Mega Eruption even if he isn't toppled. And you can just kind of see, Agate with all the arch chaining, with all the powerful arts she's got, and the specials, we're able to finish this fight really quickly here. It was not that bad at all, only a little bit over a minute, which is actually one of the faster times with one of the blades we're using. So you can see that Agate has a lot of damage potential, and axes are just really strong weapons in general. Let's show it off against a bit more powerful of an enemy. Let's try Cloud Sea Kingkin with its 50 million HP, of course. So, one cool thing about this fight is that when it enrages about 1/3 of the way through its health or so, it will enrage to weak to earth, so we'll be doing additional damage to it after that. You can still see here our raging charges can hit over 500,000 damage though, which is really powerful, and can just allow us to do a lot. The critical hit bonuses we got from the Tachyon chip, the Crimson Headband, the Arch Chaining from Noise Dampener, the extra damage to toppled enemies, it all adds up to just do a lot of damage with that art. And we can just do a lot of damage in general. We just did a ton of damage to the launched Ken there with our special. And we can actually set up some powerful fusion combos with Agate, which I'll be able to show off in just a little bit here. And you're able to see, thanks to Agate's high defenses, we don't actually even take that much damage from Ken, so the healing from Nia with the ore and the health potions is all we're going to need here. We don't even need like an avant-garde medal to heal ourselves. That is an option if you're not running a healer and don't expect to get a bunch of health potions or something, so that can be something you can run to be a bit more safe with Agate. She's one of the better users of it thanks to her pretty good defenses along with really good critical hit rate. But of course, it's still not all that necessary. I tried to time a good time topple here to go with the Volcano setup here from Cutie Pie, which is going to give us a decent amount of damage and allow me to set up a pretty good fusion combo myself later. I've got my level 4 charged up, I'm just waiting for the topple at this point. So I'm able to get that. We get the break here with Tor. I'm able to topple Ken here. And we're going to be able to launch the level 4 and chain attack right afterwards. We're going to get a big fusion combo here. So you're able to see here, when we get the critical hits on this attack, we're able to do a ton to him. So now he's got an orb set up on him. We're able to do a lot of damage. We got a fusion combo on a toppled enemy, and Agate already does increase damage to toppled enemies, so really easy damage caps to hit here with Agate. And even though it has the reduced damage of 25% to Earth Element right now, it doesn't really matter. So level 2, of course, is going to damage cap, because not only we're going to break the orb, get an extra 200% damage ratio, but it also does increase damage to toppled enemies as a bonus effect, so of course we're going to get the damage cap on that one. And we made a pretty good chunk in its health bar. It's going to have less than half of its health here with only 2 minutes in the fight, which is pretty dang impressive for using Agate here, I would say. Tor is going to round us off here with his level 2, and then we're going to be able to do the rest of the fight without having to worry about any more chain attacks. We can just use our raw DPS to finish the rest of the fight. So he's now weak to Earth Element. He probably would have enraged sooner if not for that chain attack, of course. And now we're going to be doing additional damage to him, as you're going to be able to see. The Raging Charge, unfortunately, not only did Tor launch, so we didn't get the bonus, but it didn't even crit, so I don't actually know how much damage that would have done. Maybe we'll be able to figure that out in a second. We've got a level 4 charged up with Agate again, so we're going to be able to do that, which is going to be more additional damage to him because it is a toppled enemy here. We get the bonus effect from the top from the level 4 and everything else. So we get an easy damage cap stone there. I'm able to get 451,000 on the topple art, and that is without the noise dampener cancel ratio bonus, so you can just tell we would have been able to do a ton of damage there if we got everything like we wanted to. And you're able to see here, Agate's a good blade. She's got really good damage potential. We've almost killed him in less than 4 minutes here, which is really impressive. So you can absolutely hit some high DPS with Agate. She has a lot of really good things going for her. I'd say her main problem is just like what I mentioned earlier, but I haven't really gotten to it yet. She's just outclassed by other options. She has a fine blade on her own and can function very well. She is simply just outclassed, I would say, by other axe blades, other offensive blades. But if you want a perfectly serviceable offensive blade and you like Agate, she is a great option to use. Now, one good thing about Axe is that they have some really good AoE. Berserker Slash and Raging Charge on Zeke have really good area of effect. I'm going to just show off one quick little fight with Agate, one more fight with her here. And just kind of showcase, thanks to all of the art cancels and everything, pretty much every enemy you fight can just go down really quickly. So we've got the Guldo class enemies here. We don't actually fight these all that often, but the Infernal Guldo enemies on Phase 3 of this are pretty interesting enemies. You're able to see now that, though, with just the area of effect we've got, we're able to take down these enemies pretty fast. I think axes are a great area of effect DPS type weapon just because of all of the area of effect you get from Berserker Slash and Raging Charge. So that is another benefit to Agate. You can actually do that pretty well. Earth Element's also a really good element in general, I think. It's one of the better elements, I think, as far as what blade combos you have access to and what blades you synergize well with. So that is another really good bonus effect of Agate, I would say. And you're going to see here against the Infernal Guldo just how much damage we can actually do to it with our arts canceling. Now, we are only level 60, so our damage is cut a little bit, but once we're able to get this topple here, the Raging Charge does almost 500,000 even with the nerf damage, and we're able to just kill this enemy really quickly. This would normally be a pretty difficult enemy that has a lot of health, but Agate makes short work of it. She's got pretty strong DPS. Unfortunately, like I said, there's not really that many insect enemies to fight in challenge mode or otherwise. So there's not a lot of opportunities to take advantage of that additive, but getting the topple additive is really easy. The entire party-wide damage bonus is really nice no matter what, and we're able to just do a lot of really good things with Agate. I think she's a fine blade and functions pretty well as an offensive option. So right there we just did Raging Charge, the topple plus art, and then we're also able to get the level 4 on top of that afterwards, which is going to do a lot of additional damage as well. And those are just a bunch of like strategies you can do. Just focus on trying to get as much damage on toppled enemies as possible, and you'll be able to have a lot of success with Agate. I think that's probably going to about cover it here. I don't really have all that much more to say about Agate. I think she's a pretty serviceable blade. She's at the top of C tier for a reason. And all in all, if you like Agate, you will be able to find plenty of success if you want to use her. I hope you all learned something from watching this guide video, and if you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Twitch, whatever else you want to do to support me, and I do appreciate all of it because it does all help me out so much and allows me to continue making more amazing guides for all of you. With all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a blessed day.